Alright, I guess this is a monthly series now. I, that's pretty cool. I figured out, like, how to figure out the timing for these kind of videos, so that's pretty nice. Welcome to the latest trailer roundup. If this is the first one you're seeing, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happens. I'm going to go over 5 trailers that have piqued my interest within the past month. I have them written down up here in my notes, and I'm just going to share my quick thoughts on all of them. I don't really know how long each of them take, but there are going to be some constants here. It's always 5 trailers. I think it's always going to be at least one a month now, unless there is like one big week where a bunch of trailers just come out of nowhere, and I just have to sit down and go, "Dude, I gotta cover that." That's pretty much the gist. If you've seen any of these trailers or want me to talk about any other movies in the next trailer roundup, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see a specific trailer, there will be timestamps in the description to just jump right to that if you want to. Alright, that's about the gist. Let's get into the first trailer. I gotta admit, the Marvels is in a bit of a weird space for me. Yes, I will always be there for a Marvel movie. I have stuck around with this franchise with its incredibly high highs and also really depressing lows. So, I've always been in the camp of the first Captain Marvel movie is fine. I don't know why so many people got their like panties in a bunch over this one. But I don't think it's one of the best ones either, but it made $1 billion, so of course they're gonna do a sequel. And I feel like this is gonna end up in that same territory for me as Captain Marvel. I'm not going entirely crazy over the trailers for this. Maybe that's because Secret Invasion just wrapped up, and out of all the shows I've seen, I think that's the worst one out of all of them. It could also be because I haven't seen Miss Marvel. That's the one show I haven't fully seen yet, maybe outside of a couple episodes of She-Hulk. But I've heard great things about the show, mainly like from the people who have watched it. Apparently they just aired the whole show on network television in a weekend. So they're trying to drum a pipe for this movie, and mainly because this is apparently Miss Marvel is apparently the highest reviewed MCU product on like Rotten Tomatoes, so I guess you might as well flaunt it if you got it. But I don't know. The director, Nia DaCosta, I like her a lot. I like her Candyman movie quite a bit. I just feel like that style it really isn't in this trailer, and at this point I don't feel like it'll be in the movie. But I'm sure The Marvels is gonna be fine. I feel like it'll be fun enough, but I'm still a little worried about it. It's nice to see that the massive historical epic is coming back in a way, especially with how incredibly well Oppenheimer is doing at the box office. Apparently it's projected to finish its run with like $900 million worldwide, which for a 3-hour historical biopic that basically has no action, that is pretty insane. And now we have Napoleon, with Joaquin Phoenix playing the general. I gotta remember all this historical stuff now. And with Ridley Scott being in the director's chair. And of course, in this trailer, they flaunt that Ridley Scott has made a lot of movies, and a lot of really great movies. So I think they're banking on this one being another big one. But even then, he's made some pretty bad ones too. Like, and he even made that comment, like, very recently that he should have made Blade Runner 2049 instead of Alien Covenant, but, like, Denis Villeneuve did great, so, good for him, I guess. It's sad that he regrets it, but look at what we got. It's also nice to see Vanessa Kirby get much more roles. Of course, I love her in Mission Impossible, but she is also pretty great in Pieces of a Woman, I think it's called. And I'm very excited to see what she brings to the table for being Sue Storm officially. We finally have that out of the way. We just have to get rid of the next Fantastic Four casting. But even though I have my admittedly small doubts on this movie, I have no doubt that this is at least gonna be a good movie. Like, I'm kind of sad that Ridley Scott kind of went senile with House of Gucci. At least that's my opinion. Hopefully this is not the same. I almost didn't put this one on the list because I don't know. But they have been showing this trailer with so many movies. Like pretty much every movie I've been to within like ever since this trailer came out. So we gotta talk about Wonka. This is a new Willy Wonka prequel where it's like they're showing how he gets up to the top of his game. Timothy Chalamet is going with the quirky comedy route, which he's pulled off before in The French Dispatch, but I don't know. It's just a little weird in this one. I think it's funny though. I don't blame him. But there are some like weird takes they use in this trailer that probably won't be in the movie. I do like that I've already made a distinction that this is not supposed to connect to any of the other Willy Wonka adaptations, like the one with Gene Wilder or that god-awful one with Johnny Depp. But it's supposed to be its own thing, and I like that as a choice. Tying it to one of the other adaptations could have put this in, like, this would have been dead in the water if that were the case. I know a lot of, like, film bro friends of mine, that's the term I use, but they're really good people, that are pretty excited for this only because it's directed by Paul King, I think his name is, and he did Paddington, which I haven't seen either Paddington movie. I don't know if it's an elaborate joke, if they're as good as they're supposed to be, but I guess if they are, I probably should watch them. On top of that, this is coming out at a perfect time. Like, this is coming out, like, right before Christmas. This is the perfect kind of movie to do that with. And I learned this while looking stuff up for this video. They did not make this clear in the trailer. Apparently, it's a musical. We get to hear Timothy Chalamet sing. Let's see what he's got in there. Honestly, this could be, like, a good, fun movie. Like, good for the holidays, pretty fun, but I'm not really expecting the world out of it. But, who knows? I'd love to be surprised. My god, there are 10 of these. there are 10 of these movies. Do you know how insane that is? Yeah, there's a new Saw movie coming out this year. It was originally supposed to come out like the weekend of October, but they moved it up for some reason. I don't really know the specific reason why. It has been a long time since I've seen all of the Saw movies. I know I've watched at least all of them once. I know that, and admittedly, once, like in 2021 when, like, theaters were starting to open back up, one of the first movies I saw in a packed theater was for the last one, Spiral, you know, the one with Chris Rock. It could just be like the back in theaters feeling that I had back then, but I have fond memories of Spiral. I thought it was a good little twist on Saw in general, and now Saw 10, which honestly I think is going to muddy up the timeline even more. John Kramer is back in this, but he's really not back because this is actually a prequel. I'm pretty sure this is set between Saw 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure it's set in between there. And he's going to Mexico to, like, figure out his cancer, because yeah, he has cancer and that. And he gets conned. So he turns the tables and decides to trick all these con artists into doing all this terrifying shit. And this actually looks pretty good. Like, I know when I say, like, Saw sequel, like, come on, I get it if you roll your eyes. But there actually was a report that came out, like, around the time the trailer came out, where during the test screenings for this movie, Lionsgate thought that the results were tampered with because it had such a positive reaction. I know we can't really, like, talk about test screenings after everything that happened with The Flash, but the fact that a major company thought that results for a test screening were like messed up so that they could look good, and that just wasn't the case, it was supposed to be that good, is pretty crazy. So whatever they're cooking with Saw 10, sure, I'm in. When it comes to these videos, I always like to save the bangers of trailers for the end, for me. Like, for me personally, I usually end it with, like, out of this bunch, the trailer and movie overall that I am most excited for. The Exorcist Believer is probably the most excited movie, like horror movie especially, I've been in a long time. This probably could be lost as a relic to the internet, but I'm just gonna mention anyway that the first Exorcist movie, I think it was released in 77 or 78, I'm not entirely sure. But the whole thing is that, like, so many people say that this is the scariest movie of all time. Maybe that's because there wasn't really a movie like that at that time. And even if like someone my age says, "Oh yeah, the Exorcist is the scariest movie I've ever seen," I agree. I think it's up there for me too. That shit's scary. And all these years later, we have gotten pretty bad exorcism movies. We've got some pretty unique ones. We've gotten some comedies that have to do with it. But I feel like this is the first time in a long time that a new Exorcist movie could actually be a big deal. Especially because it is tied to the movie that really started off this whole thing. This is being done by Blumhouse, and it is pretty much the same approach that they took with Halloween 2018 and that newer trilogy. Even taking the same writing and directing team from that trilogy. Forget about the other sequels. We're only doing a direct sequel to the very first one, and it looks scary as shit. I'm just gonna say it. It looks scary as shit to me. In that direct sequel sort of way, Ellen Bernstein is, to my knowledge, the only person that comes back from this movie as Reagan's mother, Chris McNeil. I don't know if Reagan's going to be back in this movie or not. I don't know. They're really keeping this movie under lock and key, and I appreciate that. And yes, since there was a Halloween trilogy, apparently this is going to be a trilogy, with the sequel already having a title calling it Deceiver, which, Believer, Deceiver, come on now. It's obvious, but it's pretty cool. Also, as a thing in the trailer, like at the very end with that color inversion on like the different shots, it almost looks like it's burned into the frame. That is a direct reference to, I think, one of the trailers of the first one, so I was impressed with that. I think that's cool too. So yeah, I've got pretty high hopes for The Exorcist Believer. I think this could be, if this sticks the landing, this could probably be one of my favorite movies of the year. Alright, those are the 5 movies. I want to tell you right now, out of these 5, what are you the most excited for out of these 5 movies? I feel like these are kind of, I tried to vary it up. I didn't really find any, like, independent movie trailers. I covered a lot of those in the last one, but a lot of these are at least bigger budget or known franchises. But either way, these are the ones I'm excited for. Again, I'm going to run through them real quick, and also the timestamps will be down there below. The movies are The Marvels, Napoleon, Wonka, Saw 10, and The Exorcist Believer. So let me know what you think of those trailers down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. See ya!